Hey everybody, welcome to What About the Game. Today I'm going to be talking about Slime-san on the Nintendo Switch. Slime-san is a classic example of a pixel-perfect platformer, where tight controls and a super difficult stage fit together in perfect harmony. Lots of checkpoints, lots of deaths. If you played games such as Super Meat Boy, the letter V 6 times, or Electronic Superjoy, you've basically played Slime-san before. The story is practically non-existent. You, as a slime, have been swallowed by a giant worm, and of course you're supposed to get out. Along the way, you occasionally meet up with fellow swallowees who like to say a line or two of dialogue, which is supposed to be funny but often falls a bit flat. It's a shame it's not particularly well developed, since what is here doesn't really add anything to the game at all. But that's not really why people play pixel perfect platformers, is it? The meat is in the gameplay, of course. Controlling your slime is pretty simple, as not many buttons are used, but using them in harmony can be a bit of a challenge. You have the standard jump with A, which can also produce a mid-air jump if you walk off a ledge. In classic Super Meat Boy style, you can scale walls by constantly jumping up against one to reach higher and higher ground. Then there's the right shoulder button, which provides you with a dash, either to traverse gaps or destroy blocks in your way. Lastly, there's the left shoulder button, which allows you to permeate through select green objects, which otherwise would be used as a platform. That's not the button's only trick up its sleeve, as it's an input with many talents. It also gives you the benefit of slowing down time, which really does help with such a quick thinking, high speed game. It also makes alternating blocks appear or disappear. If that's not enough to be thinking about, you have zero time to stop and think about what actions you need to take. Within literally seconds of the stage starting, the worm's stomach acid rises from one side of the screen to consume you if you don't reach the exit fast enough. To make matters worse, pausing the game brings up a separate screen, blocking the view of the layout, so even that can't help you. I really love the tension that it brings. To give the game credit, in its generous 400 rooms in 100 levels, there's usually always something new to face. Every other level there'll be something different, a new gimmick, a new challenge, such as switching the gravity, riding on balloons, spring pads. Even the unexpected boss fights at the end of each world are quite well thought out. Slime-san has a lot going for it, but there are some issues. While you may retort, well, it's supposed to be difficult, I personally think that at many points it goes the wrong way about it. At times it feels like you need to pat your head, rub your belly, and do sit-ups at the same time. If you try enough times, eventually you'll get one motion exactly right, but a lot of the times you'll just have too many things to think about and fail. And that's what Slime-san is like on occasions. You flail about enough, you'll eventually get there just by sheer chance. The checkpoints are very generous, and restarting the stages is instantaneous, which does mediate the pain somewhat, but it doesn't completely make up for it. When you fail at the same stage 7 or 8 or 9 times, you just give up caring at that point and just zone out until you pass it. Slime-san is best when it keeps it simple. That doesn't mean it's easy though. Even the simplest stages can pose a real challenge, but at least they don't overwhelm you. Aside from completing all of the levels, there's Slump Town to visit, when you need a rest from the chaos of platforming. It's full of a surprising amount of things to do. There's lots of shops to buy things from, using the optional apples that you collect from stages. You can customize your appearance, buy filters for the game screen, order artwork. There's a lot here. There's even minigames to play should you find enough secret coins in hidden exit on some levels, which, considering the fast-paced nature of the game, are pretty easy to miss. One thing that's quite striking about Slime-san is the visual style. With using only 5 colors at its maximum, it's on a whole new level of basic. This isn't NES style, this is ZX Spectrum style. It's certainly unique. Whether I like it, I'm not sure. The overuse of white for the ground and environments wouldn't be my first choice for sure, and the overall color palette isn't particularly appealing to my taste. I suspect opinions will be divided straight down the middle as to whether others like it or not. For me, one of the stellar points of Slime-san is the soundtrack. There are some excellent chiptunes all around, and suits the gameplay perfectly. From what I can tell, there's plenty of it too, as you're never listening to the same song over and over again. If you're worried about content, don't be. Slime-san is packed with things to do, and you'll definitely get your money's worth for the £10 they're asking for. There's the main game, the remixed New Game Plus, beating the level's time records, unlocking everything from Slump Town, boss rush mode, all the speedrunning challenges. It's almost exhausting, and it's probably the largest game content-wise for the genre that I've played. This is not just a couple of hours, it's tens of hours. Overall, Slime-san is a little hit and miss for me. It's a good game for sure, with a lot of heart and an overly generous amount of content, but it's slightly too frustrating for its own good at times, mostly down to how many things you need to do and think about at one time. It's not the simplified perfection of the letter V 6 times, not that most games are. It's definitely a better game than something like Electronic Superjoy, but it's also more frustrating. For me, the visual style doesn't work either, but it does sound great, and when it's not overwhelming you with 4 different actions to do at once, it can be a fun and exhilarating game. I recommend it, but only to those who can sustain frustration. Okay guys, if you've enjoyed this video, then be sure to like and subscribe, that will help me out. You can read the full review of Slime Stan at whataboutthegame.com, and you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter if you want to. All the links are below. Thanks guys, bye bye.